I'm in San Antonio for NAREIT's REITwise, our 2019 Law, Accounting, and Finance Conference. Joining me today is Spencer Johnson, a partner with King & Spalding. Spencer, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
Now, valuations are always a leading indicator of potential M&A. In terms of REITs, what do you see in the way of valuations and what that could mean for deal activity?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, in the REIT space, it's a little specialized in particular because it's really one of the only industries where as an investor or an owner of real estate, you can really get into the weeds of actual sort of bottom-up analysis in the individual markets of what a balance sheet is composed of, both on the asset side and the liability side of the equation. We actually have a lot of clients who spend a lot of time and invest a lot of capital to sort of get that info. And on the REIT side, you know, we're seeing a lot of REITs telling us that they think that valuations are really full right now. If you look at the amount of sort of real estate level activity by REITs compared to today versus 2015, it's down by about 50%. So we're seeing full valuations at the real estate level. We think that builds up to the enterprise level with the sort of REIT level analysis. And in terms of, you know, places where there is opportunity, we see people capitalizing in industries where there is some sort of secular or demographic trend. So data centers with the Internet of Things, or in some ways, you know, moving ahead of population trends with office investments and things like that.
And related to that, what do you see in terms of the market for privatizations?
Yeah, it's another good question. I think there's always going to be some opportunity for that arbitrage. Someone is inevitably going to trade at a discount to whatever their NAV may look like. Now, I think there's sort of 2 points that go along with that. One, there's always going to be a premium on top of the share price. So there's going to be some magnitude of decrease on that arbitrage play. So you have to look to make that up somewhere else, and oftentimes that's borne by the management team and to go private. In terms of the sort of second point to keep in mind, there's a lot more activity from activists and active funds today than there has been in the past. So it's easy to attack that pure sort of arbitrage play on NAV versus share price. And I think you'll see more of that in the future. You know, particularly if you look in the non-REIT space, Wellington's actually come out of a deal against a deal ahead of time. And I think, you know, there's a sort of expectation that the active investors, so the stock pickers, are going to have to get more involved to sort of differentiate themselves from the passives.
And lastly, you were involved with Americold's IPO in January of 2018, and really since that deal, the REIT IPO market has gone cold. What are your expectations for the rest of 2019, and what will drive potential IPO activity?
Yeah, I think gone cold is a little bit of an understatement, actually. Look, I think there's a lot of pent-up demand in the public capital markets for good REIT IPOs. And that pushes the economics for those too, so it's good for the folks who are coming out, both for the existing ownership structure and for the issuer. The flip side is, if I'm a family or if I'm an institutional owner of a private company, there's both execution risk and, just from a process standpoint, more built into going public in terms of, you know, I have to take on increased overhead, I have to hire new people to sort of help me from the accounting and SEC reporting standpoint. So I think as long as there's this steady flow of capital in the private markets, it's going to be really difficult to get companies to go public unless the economics are really just kind of out of this world.
Great. Spencer, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
For more information on this and other REIT news and analysis, be sure to visit NAREIT's website, REIT.com.